Hey, hey.
Hey, how are you doing?
How you going, Claire?
Good, very well,
Your
thank
name
you.
is Claire, and what is your expertise, Claire?
Well, I'm an amateur gardener, and I'm
Me
learning
too.
a little bit more every day.
Excellent. I was talking about what is your training?
So years ago, I took horticulture. I studied horticulture, and I've never really been in a position to practice it. But now we have a COVID-driven garden, and we're amazed at the time that it's taken us to develop that garden.
Mm.
So we started around mid-March thinking we've got COVID ahead, we'd like to be a bit more self-reliant, we'd like to develop the skills to rotate a garden and keep it successfully going for some time.
Right, so you're interested in that sort of garden, plant rotation, crop rotation ideas.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
So what we started to do was to develop our nursery of seedlings. We prepared everything by using seed or seeds that we bought or seeds that we were given, and we started to make diagrams of our area where we were potting things up and germinating seedlings.
So there's a bit of design in what you're doing.
Yeah,
You've
there
planned it
is.
out. So show us how you've
There
actually
is.
thought it through.
So with this is now gone because everything's been planted in the garden, but essentially this was this tray here, and each of the rows had, a range of species in them. So pigeon berries, okra, you know, just lettuce, odd things, mystery things. I had all sorts of mysteries
The old
in there.
mystery things, yeah.
And over here we had little numbered rows on things so I could plant things up. So this was red beans, and this was sugar snap peas and broad beans and snow peas and so on. So I had everything numbered, an index of what I was growing, and then as soon as they're ready for transplanting, straight into the garden they went.
Yep. So it sounds like a very practical system.
Well, let's go up and have a look at the garden.
Yeah, let's go and have a look at the garden. What's the idea behind crop rotation?
So the idea behind crop rotation is that when you have a bed that's predominantly used for one type of crop, that they're taking nutrients out of the soil and that they need to be replenished in some way. So if you keep on putting the same crop into that garden bed, that next crop isn't going to do as well as the first crop. So you need to keep on rotating it over time. And I'm in the early stages of working out a system that will allow me to do that crop rotation. So I've got specific beds for things from the family Solanaceae, the tomato family. Next year I'll move those to another bed and I'll put a different group of plants in, the legumes.
So you're saying that certain types of plants will take specific or be heavy on drawing specific nutrients.
That's right.
Like some draw more nitrogen and some might draw more potassium.
So broadly, members of the same family, the same plant family, are going to draw similar nutrients.
Yes.
So eggplants and tomatoes and anything else from the family
Potatoes,
Solanaceae,
solanums.
all of them are going to be drawing a similar range of nutrients from your soil. So it's good then to move that group to another garden bed and put something else in there.
And so what other categories do you have? You have the Solanaceae. Solanaceae, what do we call it?
The broad groups that I have are the brassicas.
Yep.
So that's cabbage, broccoli, sprouts, collie, kale, swedes, pak choy, radish, rocket, turnips. The legumes, so that's all of the peas and beans. The Solanaceae family, so as we've just discussed. The alums, so that's garlic and onion and shallots and leeks and spring onions. The umbelliferous group. That's,
You're umbelliferous.
well, they're a very broad group, and I don't think that they're all in the same family, but they certainly do produce flowers that are umbelliferous, they're called. It's a certain type of flower.
Totally umbelliferous.
Just think of a carrot flower.
Right.
So that group, that will all be moved on. And then the
Cucurbits?
cucurbits, that's right. So all of the melons and pumpkins and squashes and zucchinis. And then another broad group is the canopods, so the beetroot, spinach, silver beet.
Right.
There's a couple of miscellaneous things that I've thrown in there that I'm not even really sure belong in that group.
Right.
Anyway, so welcome to my...
This is great. And how old is this garden?
So this garden, we laid out the fencing to keep the wallabies out probably in the last few days of March.
March, right. So
And-
it's now early June or mid-June.
That's right.
So it's really new, and you've
Yeah.
you've got this nice fence and pickets.
And it's come along at such a rate. We are really amazed that it's moved at the rate that it has. But we're chuffed. The soil is beautiful. I guess that's working in our favour.
Well, it's beautiful, rich country right around here, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is all sort of wet sclerophyll habitat.
Wet sclerophyll forest.
You got your blue gums, and you've got various other things.
Yeah. Volcanic soil at the edge of the caldera. So a lot of very good soil
Yep,
in this
high
district.
rainfall.
High rainfall, and we've had very good rainfall in the last few months. Very good autumn and winter rainfall so far.
So this is a very orderly design with paths, and you have carpet.
And it's
I like that, very tidy. Do you vacuum it?
no, although I'm talking about garden rotation, I haven't got very strict garden beds at this point in time. So if we look at what's happening here, I've got members of the canopods. So I've got all of the I've got corn and I've got peas, I've got legumes over there, and I've got broccoli in the front. So really, I've got all of this mapped
basically, this is all
out.
out the back window.
No,
over
it's
the
not.
shoulder.
It's not, because a
Amazing.
lot of beds I do have. So here I've got capsicums, bell peppers, capsicums. Here I've got garlics. Here I've got pak choys and radish with peas around the side.
Yeah, they look pretty
And
vigorous.
beetroot over there.
You've got Tenterfield Terriers.
That's Kip.
Mm-hmm.
Here I've got pawpaws with a bed of purely tomatoes with the occasional garlic thrown in here. So because I've drawn maps of all of this, I'll be able to gradually, hang on a sec. So this was my planting guide, and each of those relates to a plant.
So
that's
you
been
have an
propagated.
orderly sort of inventory.
I'm
approach.
a bit of a systematic person.
You are. Well, you're a science-trained person.
So I like to have things properly documented, so I don't have any mysteries. If I have something coming up, I know exactly what sort of thing I planted in this neck of the woods.
For sure.
So got eggplants and cauliflowers, broad beans and lettuce and some more legumes.
Yeah, nice. Very healthy looking. And is this all organic? Or have you added any fertiliser material or horse poos or things, chicken poos?
We put locally sourced goat poo into the original dig, and compost that we'd procured locally as well, a good quality compost. And then ever since we've been using worm juice,
Right.
and we've been using a bit of fish emulsion, and I've just given it a Nitrosol.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure whether Nitrosol is something that we will stick with, how natural a product it is. It needs a little bit more research. Sea Sol, I used that once or twice on it, but it's not a complete fertiliser, and it leaves a very, very... it leaves some salt behind. If you keep on using it, it can be
Okay.
a little bit of a problem.
So it sets out the chemistry.
Yeah, I think just be a little bit cautious with it. And we made all of these beautiful, I don't know whether you can see these beautiful butterflies.
Yes, I did notice those. And are they like they're sort of cabbage moth
They were meant
deterrents?
to be a deterrent. I don't know how well they work.
Yes, I've heard mixed reviews about that
And yeah,
tactic.
I'm with the mixed reviews. I look at them and I think, oh, maybe they have a little bit of an effect. And like, look at this one here.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
But there you go.
There you go.
And that's exactly what we've seen. So what we have been using to deter them is eco-neem and
Eco-neem.
well, there are a lot of people who say, well, you shouldn't really use neem because it's not registered for use. But if you start researching it online, you'll see that most of the world, in fact, uses neem as a deterrent.
And how do you apply that to your...
We just make a weak solution of it and we spray it on. And
It's an oil?
It's
Neem oil?
Yeah, well, it's an oil. And it's got an emulsifier mixed in with it, and we make a weak solution and just spray things when we have a problem. One of the things that it deters, thankfully, is the bowerbirds, because the bowerbirds
Really?
wreak havoc in your garden.
Now, look at these great colours, these, aren't they?
Yeah, the kale, they're absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Anyway,
Oh, that's a very, very organised and well thought out little veggie plot you have there.
so as we start to harvest, the things that we've planted down the bottom will start to be incorporated into those beds.
Yeah.
So
it is written, so it shall be done.
and we'll be rotating things through those beds and also planting some of those things on the outside here. We've got new beds dug.
Why the hell not?
Well, the idea here is that if we plant those things that they don't like, they might find that a little bit of a deterrent in terms of jumping over into the garden. We haven't had any problems with wallabies going in there yet.
It's a bit of a jump. I mean, that's what, 1.2 metres, or is it 1 metre?
Oh, I think they do it easily.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But the biggest problem that we've got really here, the biggest problem that we've seen so far is when the bowerbirds arrive.
Yep.
So they've got one male, I think they're a bit of a harem, the bowerbirds,
Yeah.
and the male sits up here and keeps an eye on us, and his harem comes up here and has lunch. And
Typical.
and they lunch on beans. They love any legumes, so they'll strip them and have their lunch and go on their merry way. And then they'll arrive again in a couple of weeks' time, just as your beans are starting to recover from the first stripping. They'll arrive again. You'll see the bloke sitting up there,
Yeah.
watching his women folk having a beautiful lunch.
Yes. Can I get for tea?
So eco-neem oil is what you want to use.
Eco-neem
for that.
oil.
Just a weak solution of it, and it works.
Excellent.
Anyway,
Well, thank you
beautiful.
so much
That's
for
all right.
showing us
You're
your garden,
very
Miss Claire
welcome.
de Lune.
Thank you.